Coming to you live from sunny Las Vegas, we're bringing you another mind-blowing weekend of the world's most amazing Vainglory 5v5 action. The stream starts right now.
What does it take to mold a champion? Shape your destiny. Hone your craft. In mobile esports, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Today is where the molding begins, the preseason, where teams have the chance to establish their rhythm as a new 5-player team, try out strategies, and gel as a group in preparation for a historic run for the championship. The VPL Preseason Invitational begins now.
This is week 4 of the VPL Preseason Invitational, 2 days of unbelievable 5v5 matchups. Kicking things off, it's our hype game of the day as Team Queso looks to continue their dominance against Rising Lotus. It only gets even more intense tomorrow as Tribe Gaming looks to squash the Slimy Salamander's hopes of climbing the leaderboard in Sunday's hype game of the day.
Boom! How's it going, everybody? Happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope you guys are doing well. It's going to be a fun weekend. My name is /X, joined by my good friend Tasty Bacon.
Yeah, yesterday was May the 4th, but today's the revenge of the 5th as we get ready for another exciting day of Vainglory games. And we're going to take a look at Europe. You see at the top of the board, Clash and Team Queso tied for first place at 5-1. Salty Potatoes and Rising Lotus following them at 3-3 each. And then Equinox Esports and Wolves Esports round out the standings, both at 1-5.
Looking pretty good over in Europe. I think our friend Munchables had some time to sit down while he was out touring Las Vegas to kind of give us his power rankings and really how he thinks all these teams are shaping up. Team Queso on top. I like that a lot. Team Queso, obviously now that we're in the middle of the season, once teams are more established, once they understand 5v5 even better, I think they are deservedly better than Clash sitting in that first place position.
Yeah, and it's all about recent performances, which is why we see Rising Lotus in that 3rd spot as well because of their victory over Salty Potatoes last week. But that's last week. That's the previous 3 weeks. Now it's all about week 4, and we're going to be getting into something we haven't done before. The picks and bans are already finished. We have the teams, what they're going to be running on the rise. Rising Lotus on the top, Team Queso on the bottom.
Definitely some great looking stuff from both teams. Excited to see how this plays out. Looking at these compositions, breaking down these compositions, Rising Lotus has so much range. They can play from a distance. They can kite back. They have the sustain from the Lyra. That can be very strong, and it's going to be something that Queso really has to watch out for.
Yeah, a lot of range, a ton of damage, but not much durability. There's not a lot of tankiness on their side, so there is one thing to be concerned about as we get into this game. When we look at the matchup between these two, though, you can see Rising Lotus actually has the advantage in a couple of these stats, but the key one here for me is the average time. Queso finishing their games average of 14 minutes.
Queso definitely looking a little bit cleaner. I think we have some words from our good friend Tyrus.
Boom! What is up, guys? My name is Tyrus. I'm the jungler for Team Queso. When you're about to see this video, we're probably going up against Rising Lotus on the rise. Thinking about this match, I believe as a team we're pretty confident. They're definitely not to underestimate though. They have huge star potential on the team. For example, Nomad Vagabond, scary roam player, like, gotta watch out for those plays. Also Keanu, he switched his role from roam to jungle, so props to him.
Tyrus, we gotta talk about this, my friend. That's my line. No, for a first timer though, you're more than welcome to borrow it. It looked really good. Great execution.
Yeah, obviously he has the mechanics. We'll look to see if he has those mechanics on the rise once again today, as we've seen him have in the past. Again, take a look at the draft that these teams will be running. You know, we talked about the range and the damage coming out of Rising Lotus. Over on the side of Queso, they have a lot of dive between the Alpha, the Idris, you can poke and harass with the Scarf, and of course, likely to be either a carry captain or carry Catherine, excuse me, is what I would expect. They could also run it as the carry Adagio, but just based on the fact that they want to get onto that back line, I would expect the carry Catherine to be able to use those Merciless Pursuits to charge in and get those stuns to set up the rest of the team.
Absolutely. That's a very tanky front line for the side of Queso. Something that Rising Lotus is going to have to watch out for. They're going to make sure that they're needing to peel. They're going to make sure that they're kiting back because they don't need to force these engagements. They can play on their terms. They can play from the safety of their turrets. If they're able to farm their jungle, rotate around, basically just play the game at a very slow pace, even which is very different than 5v5. I think that that's exactly going to be their keys to success here.
Yeah, there's also the fact that with the range composition that Rising Lotus has, if they get poked out at all, if this Scarf lands a few Spitfires, they pretty much have to forfeit a turret. So the positioning and the movement in these sort of sieging opportunities that are going to be presented is absolutely crucial. But if Rising Lotus can rotate, if they can clear out those minions very quickly and efficiently, they could perhaps defend these heavy 5-man pushes that we've seen Queso making fantastic use of.
I think a huge important factor for Queso is going to be Tyrus on the Alpha. If he can find great prime directives to start off these team fights, that's going to be what enables Queso to play the game on their terms.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Team Queso and the dominance that they've shown.
Definitely some great looking stuff. Last week against Clash, really good execution, great macro control, playing the games on their term. Leon, unfortunately, not able to carry his team to victory that time around, but it was really just great execution by Queso overall.
Yeah, obviously Clash would like to argue, they were playing with a substitute and wasn't necessarily the best, but your substitutes, if you aren't confident in your ability to win with your substitutes, you shouldn't have them as your substitutes. So that I don't think that's a valid excuse for any team to be using. You have to bring your A game every single time, and Queso just got the better of them. They looked like the far dominant team, and they've looked like the dominant team ever since that first game loss. We weren't sure, was it a fluke? Was it a just a catching them by surprise? First game of 5v5, jitters, all sorts of different things that were valid reasons, and then they came back strong in their second matchup, took the victory, and are now looking like the best team in Europe.
Absolutely. After the first kind of rocky start in week 1 against Clash, Queso has looked better and better and better every single weekend, definitely adjusting to the importance of this macro control and really forcing teams to play how 5v5 should be played, how teams should play on the Sovereign's Rise, making sure you're finding those ganks, making sure you're going for those dragons. Everything across the board has been on point for Queso, which is exactly what we expected as we went into this 5v5 first season.
Yeah, I mean, we were expecting teams to be taking a little bit of time to adapt. That's certainly what they've done. Queso has adapted very quickly. Rising Lotus is on an upward trend. Will they be able to dethrone Queso? We'll find out as we get into our first matchup of the day with Dowsy and Stress.
Welcome back to the European VPL Preseason Invitational. Like Tasty Bacon said, I'm Dowsy, joined by my colleague Stress. And I think some really great points made on the desk right there, Stress. Team Queso have looked like they are just on the up and up every game they play, but it's not to go understated that Rising Lotus, every match they've played has been a significant improvement.
Yeah, they've started to look better, and I think that's really one of the key things of this team is that it's been all about week on week taking different strategies, and wow, that's a lot of damage down in the bot lane. This is actually a little different from what we've seen. A lot of captain in the mid lane we've seen with early fighting, but ever since the lane minions have moved into the lanes faster, we've started to see these lanes move around the map, and I think maybe we might be starting to see a little bit of a settling meta in where in fact people go in the early game. There's a big fight topside.
Yeah, that's actually going to be Rising Lotus stealing away that camp, and Tyrus may just lose his life here. Does get the reboot, but he's going to go down. First blood over to Solicitude there, coming out strong. In fact, Sneaky gets it on that Samuel even better. They're looking to try and steal away this gold oak as well. Team Queso want to try and secure the gold. Can they do it is the question. They will be able to secure that gold onto themselves, so at least keeping gold in their camp, but really great early rotation coming out of Rising Lotus.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Rising Lotus need to do. They need to not fall behind in the early game, gather a lead if they can, and then maintain it. Like, the game is snowballing so quickly on the current patch. When we look at it, like the fact that you can get Ghost Wings earlier, you can pretty much go for that Black Claw as well, and orchestrate these early pushes. Like, holding a team like Queso back early on is going to be key for any team that wants to beat them, and that's one of the things we've seen just time and time is how strong they are in the early game.
For sure, and one thing that's worth noting, last time Rising Lotus faced up against Team Queso back in week 1 of the European preseason, it was a 15-minute match going over to Team Queso, which at that point was one of the fastest games we had seen on 5v5. And as the meta has evolved, as Ghostwing becomes more of an impacting, objective to take for pushing and finishing games off, that's going to have to change for Rising Lotus. They're going to really have to hold Team Queso at bay.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that Rising Lotus are going to have as both a pro and a con here for holding Queso at bay is the fact that there's a lot of damage packed in this composition. On the opposite side, there's not a whole lot of tankiness. They have a lot of carries and, a decent amount of damage, but you've got to be careful. If Queso start getting damage, on the Scarf, you've got an Alpha and Idris in the mix. Like, these are heroes that can really, really punish this high carry threat team that Rising Lotus have.
You can see Rising Lotus putting a lot of pressure onto the top side jungle here. This is where Team Queso have really been strong. This Tyra's Hundor combination consistently been allowed to roam into the enemy jungles and take advantages. Looks like Rising Lotus are having none of it. A fight in the top lane, Hundor's in a lot of trouble. He's going to go down nice and early to Solicitude, but here comes the Team Queso squadron trying to clean this one up, potentially find a kill of their own. They're not going to find it. 2 kills so far on the board for Rising Lotus.
Yeah, nice set of Rising Lotus, knowing they can just move back away from the exchange as well. Queso are going to try and take away the healing tree here on the top side, try and just take anything from this exchange. But look, this early game has been completely controlled by the way the Rising Lotus have moved as a pack through this top side. And I like that you bring up that they're cracking this top setup that Hundor has had. This is, as you said, one of the strongest points we've seen for Queso, and if you can break that, then you may very well break their entire strategy.
Yeah, a bit of a roam here from Tyros into the mid lane. Solicitude going to be nice and safe there. Techno JJ will rejoin the lane, but we'll have to see if Techno JJ can get the leads that have been so dominating for him so far for Team Queso. This Scarf has always been one of his pocket picks that he's always performed so well on, but so far he hasn't quite found the leads he needs. Maybe this gank in the bot lane can do it. Crap's going to be jumped upon by Tyros. Here comes Techno JJ looking for the Spitfire, lands it. Hell, that's going to be fast, keeping him alive. And oh my goodness, Kiana Nicole almost just takes Techno's life.
Almost gets the trade kill back. He's actually stood on a ward, but look, Palmatoro is blocking for him. Nomad Vagabond comes down from the top side.
Yeah, this could actually be death for Nomad. He is going to go down. No dear, thought he could take out a low target. It is going to be Tyra's trading lives, though, trying to invade into the jungle all by himself and gets taken out. So a 1-for-1 trade in the end.
This has been a much more scrappy game out of any team really playing Clash over the last few weeks. The last few weeks, a lot of teams have kind of just rolled over and allowed Clash to move around the map very freely, whereas this is now only 1 kill going to Queso. Rising Lotus actually stacking pretty well around the engagements. I think I said Clash there. I meant Queso.
Yeah.
Clash very similar in the way they play the early game, but Queso, this early game standpoint, like we've not seen teams take it to them apart from Clash in week 1, and Queso beat them last week. So at this point, Queso really turning a corner, maybe struggling against Rising Lotus so far.
Yeah, no, I do wonder how much significance we apply to that Team Queso Clash matchup due to the fact that Clash were heavily weakened in their roster due to unfortunate circumstances with their players. But, Team Queso definitely a team to fear. They are showing consistently that they are on top of the meta, that they need to be respected, and I think that's exactly what Rising Lotus have done. They knew what the draft was going to be heading into this game a little bit before due to the new format that's being trialed here in the preseason, and now they're looking to try and really contest the game style of Team Queso. Lots of damage coming out of Sneaky. This Ghostwing looks like it should go down as Nomad tanks it all up. Yeah, it is going to be Rising Lotus securing it there without losing a member. And in fact, now they get that healing buff, which means they can roam wherever they want. 25% extra damage to turrets as well. It's a lot. And with 5 men pushing the bot lane, this could be 2 turrets going over to Rising Lotus.
Yeah, very easily, considering, you got that big minion in the back as well. That's going to allow them to push very quickly, deactivate that shield for a while. Idris on the opposite side of the map is going to be able to push at least maybe the 1 turret, but isn't going to get more than that. You've talked about how the Ghostwing buff, how strong it is right now. Obviously on this patch, that added damage, yeah, they could very well go for 3. Alpha is still in the top side jungle here. Palmatoro is low, but there's a lot of poke damage coming from the Scarf, coming from the side of the Adagio there as well. So they do back themselves away, but still, that's a great push to get 2 towers in exchange for the 1 from Idris.
Right, you have to remember, this Catherine isn't a captain, it is a lane Catherine, so at the moment with just a Storm Crown, maybe not as much damage, but will definitely be doing damage as this game does go on and providing a lot of utility for the side of Team Queso. Worth noting, in their last matchup, Rising Lotus were only able to secure 2 towers in general here, Stress, so already matching their personal best against Team Queso, and the game is very fresh.
Yeah, I like that. Match their personal best against Queso. It's a good start for them. I like the way the composition also has these different facets. You've had the Gwen, who we haven't seen a whole lot in the early game, but at the same time is going to have a lot of damage. You got the Varia for teamfight as well, Kestrel for poke. As I said, it can be a little bit risky, but when they have the numbers advantage, they will just push it like this. They're just going to get good damage down onto Scarf and look for that tower.
Yeah, it does look like it is going to be another 5-man push coming out of Rising Lotus, and Hundor and Tyra is just continuing up in that top side. A big Adagio will come out, cracks tanking a lot of damage from the turret from Techno JJ. And it is going to be this turret falling back now. Lots of damage has been dealt to key damage dealers here on the side of Rising Lotus, and with Palmatoro joining the mix, nothing really that Rising Lotus can do. And worth noting, Team Queso still have Tyrus and Hundor up in the top lane. That is another turret taken by that pair. Whilst Rising Lotus did a lot of effort to try and shut it down early, they have had a lot of freedom in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, that was a magnificent hold out of Queso. I don't want to oversell it too much, but that was 2 versus 5. Hang on, here comes the fight on the backside. Samuel's bot lane, so there's not really any way of getting a full 5 versus 5, but to hold a tower 2 versus 5 is quite a significant accomplishment out of Queso. Great Adagio ult, even though there's no real extra damage in the kit yet, but still, really good usage of that crowd control, the damage under the tower, and able to keep it alive.
Yeah, that's one thing we saw from Team Queso last week, was using that Adagio as a more utility laner. This time it is going to be the captain as played by Hegman, but so much base damage in that pick, really able to use it well in the early game. Ghostwing has landed for the 2nd time this match, and Rising Lotus already have it knocked down to half HP. Here comes that Varia ultimate to push Team Queso off it. Techno JJ trying to steal, but he can't get in range for the Spitfire. Another Ghostwing goes the way of Rising Lotus. We'll have to see what they make of it.
Yeah, and at this point, now Queso have to say, okay, we're going to back away. We're not really going to take this fight. The Ghostwing empowers them pretty heavily at this point, considering they're already ahead. Hegman and Techno JJ were kind of trying to de-ward, but Nomad Vagabond is able to deter them. That's kind of how much Rising Lotus maybe are in control of this game. The fact that a level 5 can run around and kind of deter the warding efforts and de-warding efforts of Queso. They didn't know who was behind them, and you can always take a look in MOBAs at vision control, and that gives you a good idea of who is ahead. And it certainly is Rising Lotus that for the most part had the most vision control. But here's the topside fight.
Yeah, this topside fight not going well for Rising Lotus. A 1-for-1 trade turns into a 2-for-1 as Tyrus does clean up Solicitude there to finish it off. And that is going to be that topside jungle once more secured for Team Queso, and Tyrus and Hundor basically allowed to do what they want.
Yeah, and that all comes actually from the vision control that had been recently established topside by Queso. There's a triangle of red wards over on that left side jungle, right where Nomad Vagabond is running through now. Those are the wards that told Queso the Rising Lotus was so split up. The scout cam's just able to spot out the straggling members of Rising Lotus, and they're able to just pick them off very quickly.
Yeah, and with that control in the top side, they shift their focus down to the bottom lane with a big wave pushing. A turret will go the way of Team Queso. And this gold lead starting to be closed here just a little bit as Team Queso start clawing control back in this match.
Yeah, Queso set up on this bottom side, but realistically at this point they have no easy objectives to take. Like, there's no real tower possible for them because of the work that Idris did up on the top side earlier. The mid tower's already fallen for them, so this is a very awkward point of the game where it is just about vision. It is just about getting those scout cams in different places so you're able to track lane movements, because we've still got 20 seconds or so for Black Claw to spawn. There's no Ghostwing available because Rising Lotus took it recently as well, so there's not too much for them to do to try and push an advantage or try and recoup some of that loss, as Rising Lotus playing very well as a unit, not giving anything more away since those topside kills.
Yeah, it does look like Team Queso wanted to block any potential vision control over the Ghost Wing, as we know that teams love to take Ghost Wing and then rotate over towards that Black Claw. The Ghost Wing should be joining us in about 30 seconds time, roughly. There it is, 20 seconds on the clock before it joins us back on the Sovereign's Rise. Good Spitfire damage, lands onto cracks, but Tyra's not quite able to find the Prime Directive to get in on the engage here. And now a game of chicken has really been started here. Can Rising Lotus get control over the Ghost Wing pad? It looks like they're just going to dive straight over the wall. They have been spotted doing so. Team Queso going to be able to set up a counter fight here. Only problem is Hundle's in the top side, so it will be a 4 versus 5. Here it goes. Tyrus jumps in, gets stunned, gets popped. He's in his Prime reboot, and he just gets destroyed. Look at the damage onto Palmatora. He goes down as well. It is going to be Techno JJ finding one, but the one shot, oof, almost takes a kill. Let's just talk about the fact that it's a 2 versus 2 stress in a 4 versus 5, and now Hundle's coming into the fight fresh off the bat. He's going to have full health. This could be disastrous for Rising Lotus as the chakram flies but doesn't quite connect. Team Queso might not be able to re-engage here, and Hundle's been left all by himself. We'll have to use that jump to escape. It is a weapon power Idris, of course. Nomad will just jump forward to his death there, not quite able to find the engage he wants, and in the end a 4 versus 5 goes 3-2 for Team Queso.
That massive damage coming from Solicitude, it looked like it was enough out of Rising Lotus, and then the fight turns back around. Techno JJ gets a lot of damage out. You saw some of the damage there from the Adagio as well. Like, it looked to be a really nice move out of Rising Lotus to sneak over to the Ghost Wing, try and get the objective, but they weren't as prepared for the fight as they thought. The fact that, you know, Queso was split didn't exactly hinder them, but just because of how strong the damage came out. And as you said, it was 2 for 2 trade initially. Then Queso get themselves another kill on the back end, and now the Ghost Wing from what was a game that was looking very precarious a few minutes in. They've got Ghost Wing, they've got a composition that can now kind of control the vision around the Black Claw and can try and force a fight. Look, there's 2 members bot side. I don't think Kestrel just showed, but 1 member is enough to see for Queso to say, okay, let's go for the Black Claw.
Yeah, and look at the damage that Techno JJ is putting out. Solicitude takes 1 Spitfire and a tick of a goop, and is already down to just 1/3 HP. The one shot from Keanu Koa gets blocked, but it was enough anyway. It's going to be Rising Lotus picking up a single turret for themselves, but Sneaky is well and truly caught out due to the massive vision control that Queso have in this bot side river, and that's going to be Sneaky falling before the Black Claw even gets pushing. This is disastrous for Rising Lotus. They've held out so far. The previous matchup against Team Queso was a 15-minute affair, and we're closing in on that with Team Queso all of a sudden well and truly in the driver's seat. They're going to continue trying to push down this mid turret.
Yeah, this game turned on that hold in the mid lane. It looked like that's where Rising Lotus were going to get a lot of momentum from. Here comes the fight to maybe finish it off.
Tyrus dives, Tyrus dies, and that is going to be the turret going down, but let's see if Rising Lotus can turn this fight around. Nomad engaging, takes a lot of the damage. Solicitude trying to get on the front line, but the rest of his team more interested in the Black Claw and making sure that armory goes undamaged as much as possible. 15 minutes and 22 seconds into this game, Rising Lotus will hold off Team Queso, but when you look at the gold lead, surprisingly, Rising Lotus have held it this entire game, but it just means nothing due to the fact that Techno JJ's damage is just monstrous.
Yeah, crazy damage coming from the Scarf. We've seen basically damage from just about every source from Queso. I kind of, again, I love this Varia for the team fight presence. We've seen so much impact come from the ult into it. Also, just the lightning that changed from the passive all the way through. You can get a massive amount of damage done. That's one of the things that has been stopping some of Queso's aggression the further these team fights go. And if Solicitude can stay alive, he's really strong right now. 5 and 2 has good itemization. And he can really control it from Rising Lotus side. That's really the player they need to start putting a lot more stock into for this game.
The only problem is that every fight starts off with Solicitude taking a Spitfire at this point. And if he's down at 1/3 HP due to the fact that Techno JJ is just built pure burst damage, then it's not going to be an easy time for Rising Lotus, not to mention the dive potential that comes out of having a Catherine, a Idris weapon power, and of course that alpha that Tyrus just plays so well. Team Queso grouping up in this bottom side river, controlling the Ghost Wing spawn once more. Keanu Koa does land a 1-shot onto Hundle to start this one off, Hegman going to start healing on up. Solicitude still has to get into position here if Rising Lotus want to contest this Ghost Wing. And it does look like they do. Nomad Vagabond getting ready to portal on in over the wall, getting into position. Here comes that barrier ult. It is going to be going out. Hegman taking damage. The Ghost Wing pours up, but the damage onto Nomad. He's almost dead, and Tyros will find the kill. Does get popped out of his ultimate. Is going to be taken down, and the Ghost Wing stolen over the wall by Keanu Nako. It's time for Rising Lotus to start moving on in. Queso falling back, but oh my goodness, Techno JJ picks up a kill into Solicitude. He might just be surrounded. I say that. It's going to be Hundor saving his life, and Hegman finding the kill. Team Queso hold off despite the Ghost Wing still, and this game continues.
Queso with a numbers advantage, but as you said, lost the Ghost Wing. If they had the Ghost Wing, that would have been a very clear tin. They're actually going to try and brute force this with the numbers down, at least push the wave out, go to top side, push that wave as well, and try and just reset this game for another objective. It's not too long until that Black Claw spawns, so they can just work on the vision control themselves and then reset. It was a little close for comfort out of Queso, and they don't feel like pushing any further because of the respawns coming in already. But look, we're setting up for the next objective. It's Black Claw. The fight is potentially gonna go their way. I'm looking at the ult cooldown. The Varia ult is nearly up. A lot of the items are nearly up as well for Rising Lotus, so it's not quite as clean cut as saying, okay, take a quick fight, because they still have a lot of that power left.
This matchup against Rising Lotus has proven to be an exciting one, as Rising Lotus have continued to up their game week in, week out here in the Preseason Invitational. And Black Claw is the topic, as Team Queso hiding around the corner. Solicitude should get a Crystal Treant, very important, considering that he hasn't been getting them. I say that though, it looks like Techno JJ just stole over the wall, unless it was Krax who secured it. Fight about to start off, you think. It all depends on if Tyros can land the engage. Hundor wants to roam around the side and get onto that back side of the fight if he can. Look at the wave in the top side as well. Huge wave with a captain minion has been pushing, and that's something that Rising Lotus need to address either by fighting now or backing off this Black Claw. I think Team Queso are happy with either of these options. Spitfire's going out, Goops landing. Doesn't look like Team Queso quite ready to engage. They're very happy to let that top lane push.
Yeah, and they're just going to poke down as well. Techno JJ's damage over time is just doing massive work here on the setup for the fight. Krax is trying to recall to get back, but even gets stopped there by Techno JJ. Like, this tower is going to fall if this minion wave stays alive, and most likely the armory behind it as well. They're trying to throw out the one-shot, one-kill every single time, and I kind of like that they sent Solicitude back, in the sense that the ult is still usable.
The Rising Lotus have stayed in position, and Team Queso have pounced as soon as they saw Solicitude back. Nomad just about survives. The poke damage from Sneaky coming out. Some great Malice and Verdicts to do some damage, but the one shot has to do more than that. This fight starting off on a very even playing field. Only difference is that potentially Nomad has more healing power than Hegman. It is going to be Palmatora backing off, recoiling, and the Black Claw started up here by Rising Lotus. No teleport boost to jump into the fight. Team Queso able to hold off, but lots of damage going on to Techno. Lots of damage onto Techno. Shut down, killed. And that's going to be Fountain keeping Nomad alive. Tyros tries to dive in onto Nomad, but is able to find the kill. That's a 1-for-1 trade, and Krax might just go down as well as Hundor tries to get in range. Tyros, the Prime Directive, not quite landing. Krax not winning that fight up against a very fed Hundor. And currently Team Queso holding Rising Lotus to their dues. Too many people have died here at 3-for-1 in the end, coming out in favor of Team Queso, and the Black Claw being started up. Lots of damage still can come out of this Kestrel and this Varia, but when you get stunned up like that, Solicitude, you're not going to do anything. Krax has to steal this objective or get out of town, and it looks like he is going to do neither as Hundor dives forward and does a lot of work. Maybe can steal it with a one-shot. You would have to find the perfect angle, and it looks like Team Queso are just not going to allow it here. Instead moves over towards the Ghost Wing. Black Claw unleashed for Team Queso.
And there's still a wave decently stacked up on the top side. Like, this was a very precarious position. You know, Rising Lotus, they just start the Black Claw, and yes, they had seen Catherine go back, they had seen the numbers go back into their favor, but they still weren't full health. They still couldn't finish Black Claw fast enough that Queso wouldn't just turn it back around, and Queso taking full advantage of that fight. And now they got the Black Claw pushing down. They got Idris working through the top side as well to push the second wave of minions in. But they are getting damage from a distance. Like Palmatori gets healed back up, but this could be the very last fight.
Yeah, there's going to be that ultimate coming out of Samuel, but Sneaky not able to land it. Vario ult pushes Team Queso out of the base, but Hegman's left by himself and taking a lot of the brute force. The captain will be able to keep alive. One armory taken so far in this push, and the Black Claw will go down, whacking away at that Vein Crystal. 22 minutes into this game, Rising Lotus do hold back Team Queso. No definitive winner yet, but Team Queso certainly calling the shots.
And this is such a strange game, because I think people will look at this and say, hey, look at the gold lead. Look at how theoretically far ahead Rising Lotus are, but when you look at how the objectives have gone, what has opened the map up, what gives the team more to play with, Queso have managed to take the majority of them over the last 10 minutes or so. There's been a steal or two that has come through, and we'll see if it's another one, but that's what's been dictating the pace. Objectives are so strong in the current metagame that just taking...
Oh, it's stolen by Cracks! Oh my goodness! A weapon power Gwen steals with the buckshot. Do you believe it? Ghostwing goes to Rising Lotus.
Stolen again. Was that blind as well? There is a Queso scout cam in the back to kind of sweep things out. That was incredible. Another steal coming through from Rising Lotus, and that is what has kept Rising Lotus in the game. With their gold lead, with their objective steals, they still are able to push Queso back time and time again, despite the fact that Queso have been looking like they're going to close this game twice already.
This is a slugfest as Team Queso not able to take definitive leads that close out this game. Turret falls in the top side, and a push now for Rising Lotus as they continue working on this lane. The armory is down in the mid lane, and it is going to continue pushing towards their Vein Crystal, but they've got some time to work with. They want to utilize this Ghostwing buff they've stolen as much as possible. Sneaky with the Malice and Verdict, setting up a fight. This turret now under siege. The Vario ult would push Team Queso back, and the fourth turret goes down in this match for the side of Rising Lotus.
They doubled their personal best since that week 1 game against Queso. I mean, at this point, you gotta look at it like Rising Lotus. They've got that mix of defensive itemization in here as well. The Aegis on most of their carries. So when you look at it, we talked about them getting dived. If they can actually have good defensive posture, which the last few fights has kind of been hit or miss for them, if they can at least move around actively, then that's exactly one of the things that is going to keep him alive. Krax had to be very careful himself there as he moved down towards the bottom lane. He was trying to clear out that weapon buff, ended up getting it, but Queso were looking hot on his heels, very, very close to catching him out.
Man, interesting game so far. 25 minutes about to round on the clock. A whole 10 over the previous matchup that we had here, stressed between these two teams. And you have to wonder which team is going to make the move that gets them the win. At this point, 25 minutes, any definitive teamfight win could just be the end for either of these teams, despite the fact that there's an armory and a turret to go through on either the top side or the bot side for Rising Lotus. The pushing power they have means they could finish it if they find that lead.
If they can find the lead, it would again be resumed thanks to Black Claw, which has been started off. Queso not exactly grouped for this fight yet, but they are starting to get there. Scarf coming across the top side of it, and it looks like they've
here Rising Lotus. Hundle jumping on in with this weapon power Idris. That's going to be a lot of damage going on to Cracks. Tyra's trying to find the lead. The Vario ult stacking up. Hegman taking lots of damage. Can they get the kill? Palmatoro low. Tyra's in his reboot. Will fall in just a second. No, he does not. Eventually goes down. The first kill goes the way of Rising Lotus, but what more can they get? Not much. Everyone's so low. And maybe Team Queso recognize this and go for the Black Claw. It would be a ballsy play, but maybe the one they need.
Yeah, maybe a play that they can make, but at this point they're saying, hey, let's move through the top side, try and push this wave out. They're going to try and sneak the armory through.
Two players show up on the bot side. Yeah, they're sneaking.
And they've committed to Ghostwing on the other side.
Oh dear. This is going to be the backdoor attempt coming out of Team Queso. The armory melts, and now Team Queso going onto the Vein Crystal. A desperation play for Team Queso. So can they make it? That is going down so quick. They've just done it. They've just backdoored Rising Lotus, and they didn't expect it. The ace is too late. Team Queso wins again. 6-1 here in the EU Preseason Invitational.
Oh, this
this game is the epitome of victory from the jaws of defeat, because we've seen multiple steals, the backdoor. It looked so good for Rising Lotus. They thought, okay, we'll just push it out, go get the objective, finish this game off, and suddenly backdoor through the top side. Queso with some real cheese of their own.
That is incredible cheese coming out of Team Cheese, Team Queso. Once more, another victory and done in style. Let's break it down with Flash X and Tasty Bacon.
What a way to end things.
My goodness, Team Queso with a bold call there at the end, and just kind of goes to show the importance of vision. If they get spotted at any time during that push in towards the top entrance of the base, that play doesn't work. They maybe get caught out and could potentially lose the game as a result. But what a call from Queso, and what a game from Rising Lotus, though, as well.
Absolutely. Taking a look at one of the highlights, this was a huge team fight for Queso. They went in, tried to find a couple of kills. Tyrus in that front line absorbing so much damage for his team. Queso able to reset here. I think Rising Lotus thought everything was okay, and then turned out not to be. Taking a look at some of the comments on Twitch chat, though.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of hype for Rising Lotus in the Twitch comments. You can see there, Rising gonna shock the world and win. You know, some interesting picks on both sides. Not many tanks, but junglers and carries. We'll see. There's 5 ranks on Rising Lotus and no one's saying anything. We did say something though, Fusion Fall VG. Pay a little more attention, but early Fiesta incoming. There definitely was a lot of fun early on. And of course, Jetpacks VG, so fun to watch right now, actually. 100% agree. We were all glued to the monitor watching that game unfold.
Absolutely. We had no idea it was going to end so early on. Like Stress says, Queso pulling out the cheese strat. Rising Lotus looked strong early, though. They even had about 11K gold lead in the beginning, or at the end of the game. But in the beginning, they were picking up those objectives. They were finding the Ghost Wings, taking down a ton of turrets.
Yeah, we're actually going to take a look at what happened early in that game when the first Ghost Wing had spawned. It was Rising Lotus that went and took that Ghost Wing and immediately started pushing. And now you can't really see it on the minimap here, but the reaction from Queso, they just weren't there to defend. They allowed this push to go through with, you see, just Catherine, the only one who's in range. Finally, Adagio starts rotating over. The rest of the team makes their way on over to try and prevent that push. Once they had 5 people behind, or 4 people really, behind that turret, they were able to do some of that poke, clear out those minions, and prevent that push from getting onto their armory turret, which we've seen a lot of teams be able to take all 3 turrets in one push. So they did get there eventually and make that defense, but those kinds of defenses have to come out earlier. If you put up that 4-man defense at the second turret, Rising Lotus doesn't get anywhere near the lead that they had in this game.
Absolutely, and the play was phenomenal. Unfortunately, like Tasty said, the vision so important. I think we have a giveaway, though, to come up and celebrate that Team Queso victory.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the brand new skin for Krull. The Samurai skin is now available in-game, but if you would like to pick up your chance to get that skin unlocked for free, we will be picking 4 winners. All you have to do to enter is use the hashtag VPL and tag a friend of yours on Twitter, and you will be able to enter to win that free skin. Again, 4 different winners will be chosen throughout the weekend.
Definitely a sick skin. I think we're ready to see the draft. Once again, it has been done already in advance. Salty Potatoes on the top, Equinox on the bottom. Definitely going to be a sweaty matchup coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Two very strong lineups too, as we get a closer look at this draft. You see the Krull getting picked there. Maybe we'll see that Samurai Krull skin come out here. But Reza, Gwen, these two have been so strong when they get picked up, especially this Reza. He has been dominant in games. The Fortress we haven't been able to see much of, and then the Celeste as well. That is an incredibly powerful lineup that the side of Equinox has been able to put together.
Absolutely. Salty Potatoes looking like they're drafting a little bit more like Rising Lotus. A lot of backline squishy carries. You do have the Gromcha in the front, which is not a pick we've seen in the past couple of weeks.
He was
very popular early on. Definitely interested to see how that plays out in this game.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing that kind of stood out to me was Malene being banned on A side by Salty Potatoes. We talked about the fact that it's typically going to be a B side ban, so maybe Salty Potatoes not feeling comfortable with that hero themselves. Who knows? We may get to see it, but we are going to be getting on to the Rise for our second game of the day, throwing it right back to Dowsy and Stress.
Wow, what an incredible first game we had earlier, Stress, but now let's focus in on Salty Potatoes and Equinox. Last week, Salty Potatoes losing to Rising Lotus meant they tied in that third place. They've got a chance to take third place back for their own if they're able to beat out Equinox.
If they can. We've obviously seen a bunch of changes here as well on this Salty Potatoes lineup. The last 2 weeks have been a little bit tumultuous for them when it comes to the roster, so we'll see if they can. Looking at Equinox as well, there's a few new players in here as well. Baby Groot and Baby Groot Part 2 coming in.
They are notorious in the European Challenger scene for the last year, and actually a very decent team that's constantly surprised and really just shown that growth over time. So seeing them on the big stage here, Baby Groot and the original Baby Groot Part 2, believe it or not, that's the original player and the original name, may just be what Equinox needs really to solidify their roster as a potential competitive competitor in Europe. There we go, tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters. Well, we'll see if Baby Groot and Baby Groot Part 2 can improve and grow a little bit more. Maybe they'll become Teenage Groot and Teenage Groot Part 2 as they kind of settle themselves on with Equinox. But when we look at this draft, they talked a little bit on the desk about how strong Reza, how strong Gwen have been just kind of historically over the last week or so. Like, I feel like we're starting to see that drop off a little bit with the way that people are starting to play differently in the early game. Like, I don't think it's like Reza and Gwen are going to fall off or anything, but certainly the games are going longer, which means we're starting to see a lot of these longer range, harder to actually kill with the shorter range heroes. So expect the Varia to come back in. I don't think we're going to see a massive shift, but certainly I think the Varia is going to be more prominent the longer this goes.
Yeah, and PT Lamb, new face for Salty Potatoes, has just played so much Varia. He is excellent on this pick, has really been performing very well over time. You know, back on 3v3, on 5v5 as well. And you can see Salty Potatoes still reimagining their roster, still trying to find the roster that they feel comfortable playing with. We'll have to see if this is it for them. This matchup really is just going to tell a tale of where these two teams at. You know, the continuous roster changes is what makes the Preseason Invitational such a valuable time for a lot of these teams here, because they are able to test so many combinations, so many rosters, and really try and find the one that works for when the regular season starts up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the same goes for looking at team compositions and heroes themselves, because at the desk, another thing they mentioned was the fact that it was a Malene ban by Salty Potatoes, and then picking Churnwalker. Like, to say that that is their highest priority hero is a very interesting thing. We've seen it be very high in priority, but it's not going to help them at this point. It's halfway across the map. Salty Potatoes bot side.
Yeah, Viking in a lot of trouble here, and he is just going to lose his life straight up. Aeon going to be caught up in that core collapse, running away on that Grumpjaw, is going to be able to escape. But first blood in the camp of Equinox here, and now Aeon may have just overstepped, trying to run. I Love Shy, not quite able to get Baby Groot Part 2 into range, but a weaponry and steel will come through, and a very solid beginning for Equinox.
Yeah, very solid. Like, Equinox is one of the teams we've seen struggle the most. There is an answer happening on the top side for Salty Potatoes with the attempted steal of their own, but oh, Aeon now has Viking alongside.
Yeah, Aeon does secure the gold oak. Will lose his life for it. Can Viking get a return? Lots of burst potential in a Crew and a Reza, but Viking has done enough damage to Alex SS and Baby Groot Part 2 to force them back here. And it is going to be 2 kills taken by Equinox, but a jungle secured by the looks of it by Salty Potatoes.
Good start, though, for Equinox. A couple of the games we've seen, it has been almost Equinox not getting out of the starting block. So this certainly is a lot better out of them. I kind of feel like this roster changes and everything that's happened with the Salty Potatoes lineup, on the other hand, has kind of hurt them, because there was a time where they looked as good, potentially, in their opening games as Queso did. Now, Queso have improved dramatically since, and I think Queso are unquestionably one of the top 2 teams, but Salty Potatoes, week 2, week 3, we were starting to say, hey, this team looks like they could compete with the likes of Clash and Queso, but hasn't looked as convincing now that they've had to change a few members, and we've heard a lot of different things about why, but certainly the results just haven't been as fruitful with the kind of turmoil they've been under.
Definitely does add to the difficulty for the Salty Potatoes roster, but also gives way for players to make their own legacy and really show their value as well here in Europe. We'll have to see if the likes of PT Lamb and Rieren are able to do so as they join the roster. Currently has been a very slow matchup. A 400 gold lead is there for Equinox for those 2 kills. With only a minute and a half on this Ghost Wing, I think that's really going to kind of showcase where these teams are at macroly. Once more, it does look like a bit of a fight in the bot side. Aeon gets caught up. In fact, Aeon fails his dive, but it isn't going to be a follow-up coming out of Equinox.
Yeah, no follow-up, but I want to look at something in the builds here. I know I'm talking a lot about Varia. I've been spamming it all week, but this is a very early reflex block. You can buy it this early. It's against Kroll. Is one of the things I'm looking at. Is like, you don't want to get caught by that ult, get stunned. You can delay your damage slightly if you think it's that significant to get the reflex block early on before alternating current. So the push power won't quite be up to the strength that we normally expect from this Varia, but still, certainly you're going to buy a reflex block at some point in your build, and if you're worried about the early game, it could be a decent decision out of PT Lamb. We'll take a look at where that first Cruel ult actually ends up going.
Yeah, currently Baby Group Part 2 hasn't quite hit level 6. In fact, there it is. Just pops as I say it. So now we'll have to see where he aims that sword. Looking like he's holding out in his jungle here, waiting for the weapon treant to spawn. Once he gets that weapon treant, very good time to really find a gank, and we'll have to see where he prioritizes. I Love Shy, a little bit of damage taken. Not too much here. Salty Potatoes just currently playing with their food as they look to group up potentially in the bot side. Alex SS has been pushed under his turret by Viking. Aeon with the ultimate, gonna eat up Alex SS, and oh dear, can Alex SS get out of this one? Blocks up that active camo. In fact, Rieren dives very deep under the turret, taking a lot of damage in the process. Other side of the map, Baby Groot is pressuring PT Lamb. This could be an issue. Maybe PT Lamb under the turret. The Baby Groots could gang up on him. This turret potentially will just go down. We'll have to see what happens as Baby Groot takes away the jungle.
Yeah, and that's one of the difficulties right now in this mid lane.
Solo! Okay. I was going to say, PT Lamb, a player with so much competitive experience, surely wouldn't fall for that.
Yeah, and he also had the reflex block available, so... but the key thing is the fact that without the ability to de-push the lane, because of the lack of damage early on, he's getting shoved in. The Crawl's moving up into the top lane now, actually.
Yeah, there's going to be Imagination going down here, not able to keep his life. And Baby Group Part 2 finds a point on the board for the side of Equinox with that ultimate. And looks like the turret should go down as well. This will be the first turret of the game. Rieren can't really stop it. The Varia ult comes out, but it's way too late, and that's going to be the turret going down. Baby Groot jumps onto Rieren here, but does have Aeon in support coming over the wall. Baby Groot Part 2 in a bit of trouble as the burst comes out. Ultimate comes out. One shot connects with Safantu on the backside, but that's not the main target, and here comes Shy. Oh dear, Hungry misses, and that's going to be Aeon punished. I Love Shy now running onto Rieren, but I don't think the rest of the team can get there in time. Will just be another kill going over to Equinox.
This looks like a completely different Equinox, and it is basically because the roster is different, but look at how much quicker they're moving around the map. Baby Groot and Baby Groot Part 2 is having quite a big impact. Like, we're seeing a much different team on the pace in the early game, and they're punishing Salty Potatoes pretty hard. Now they're moving towards that mid tower because they know this Varia cannot push back this lane, and that's another tower going down very quickly.
Very clean game from Equinox so far. Bot lane potentially in trouble. Alex SS has never formed Detonator up. Oh, a Solar Storm rips through Viking! And that's going to be you going back to the Sanctuary. Alex SS now going to start up on this turret. Rieren and Aeon have found I Love Shy caught out, but not really, because he roots up Aeon in that treant. PT Lamb moves on in. This should be Salty Potatoes finding their first kill onto I Love Shy. I say, but now the dog is running. Alex SS just pushing. He is very confident in his ability to run, but the reflex block comes out too late. Neverform detonator up and alive. Doesn't even need it. The rest of the team is here for the fight, and Salty Potatoes are on the retreat. Aeon finds a kill on the backline. PT Lamb secures it. Baby Group Part 2 will be pulled in. Doesn't necessarily want to continue that one, and Stefan will run with the aces high, finding imagination. The first kill of the game will go over for Salty Potatoes, but a Solar Storm threatens. That's going to be one. Oh, I thought it was going to be a second. The Spellfire ticket on rear run. PT Lamb caught out potentially. He's trying to run from Alex SS, but running is hard against a Reza. Can they get in range is the question. Alex SS going to have that be up in a second. Neverform detonate into Troublemakers the combo, but can't quite find the range. Still Equinox hold form.
Big turnaround from Equinox down in that bottom lane. PT Lamb still staying around in the mid lane. Like, that looked such a difficult situation to get out of, but I guess when you're playing against Groot, the Treants are going to help that team, right? Equinox clearly have the jungle on their side as well. That Root basically saving their life in the jungle. Then they're able to kind of reposition, get themselves into a spot where the damage just comes out very freely. And I don't think Salty Potatoes were quite prepared for that fight, considering they were the ones thinking they had like a 4 versus 2 in the bot lane and everybody was half health already. I think they were expecting a quick in and out. Turns out we got another fight coming down the bottom side as well as Shy goes in.
Yeah, this could potentially be disastrous for Salty Potatoes if Equinox were in position to dive, but you look at that minion wave all the way up at the turret instead. Now focusing in on towards that Ghost Wing. A Cruel, a Fortress, taking it down fairly quickly with Baby Groot able to hold everyone back with those core collapses and of course the Helogenesis. Aeon once again to range to his rear run. Barrier ult is ticking around. Here comes the rest of Salty Potatoes. Sfantu in the middle of the fight. This is not looking good for Equinox, but I say that Alex S blows up Viking, going in for more. A double kill so far for PT Lamb, and he's looking for more. PT Lamb finds another. A double kill comes through for Imagination's Vox, and only Alex SS is left alive. The Ghost Wing secured, but really was it worth? PT Lamb says, no, I want the ace. But it looks like Alex S is going to run and potentially prevent that from coming through. 2 seconds on Stefan to Alex S will survive. And that Ghost Wing did not go well for the side of Equinox.
It's not something we talked about yet in this matchup, but this is a CP Vox. This isn't the weapon power Vox that we've been seeing quite commonly, which of course people maybe haven't seen it so much since 3v3, but CP Vox has this massive AoE damage in teamfights, as does Varia. Like, when you start keying that all together in the Ghost Wing pit, that is where the fight turned around, and that's why it was looking decent for Equinox on the start. It was because Vox was getting zoned away topside, so he gets denied out of the fight, finally turns around, gets the big ult and the resonance through the fight, and suddenly everybody loses their life, and Equinox find themselves on the back foot from that fight. There's still a gold lead for Equinox, but it started to turn a little bit in favor of Salty Potatoes over the last few minutes.
A Varia and a CP Vox scale very well into the late game. And that is where we're heading for Salty Potatoes. That's the thing that you have to keep in mind. That Grumpjaw really is their only way of keeping fast in the early game. The real early game power comes from that Grumpjaw. But in the late game, when you have AoE plus AoE amp, wow, that is going quick. And just completely under the noses, actually, of Salty Potatoes. They have no vision, and they have no right to that Black Claw. Now Equinox looking for the fight. Is going to be the guy engaged coming through. Baby Group zoned out, but Part 2 holding fast. A Solar Storm rips through the entire roster, and the first kill will go through for that Fortress. Part 2 wants to escape as Aeon dives in, but that was a mistake, and now the Black Claw's pushing in the turret as well. Tier 2 goes down. The Varia ult might be enough to push the Equinox roster back. Everyone's dancing, everyone's dodging. A good successful dodge from Equinox. Now this turret should go down. They've caught out the Kestrel. That is disastrous. The ace is high, so good. Alex SS zoning back. Armory going to go down. In fact, Equinox might just be going for everything here. The Vein Crystal is now under fire. Salty Potatoes, can they hold off? PT Lamb diving in. 1 kill goes over 2, in fact. But the Vein Crystal is falling. This is going to be Equinox finding a win over Salty Potatoes, and they've done so in style. A single push with a Black Claw finds the win, and the ace coming out of Salty Potatoes is way too late. A new roster, the Baby Groots and Part 2 have solidified Equinox here in the EU VPL, and it was such a great sight to witness.
Oh, been crazy, crazy games today. We're gonna need the desk to help break these endings down because they have been insane.
Wow.
Well, there is a reason that Reza has been getting banned so frequently, especially here in Europe. And that was a showcase as to why Alex SS 4-0-4. Absolutely phenomenal performance from him. And the Baby Groots making their first appearance at the professional level. And incredible stuff coming out of them as well.
Equinox struggling early on. Made a bunch of roster changes here for week 4, bringing in the Baby Groots. Here is a look at one of their great team fights, this final big fight as they're pushing into the base with that Black Claw. The Baby Groots putting in work. Baby Groot number 1 on Celeste, number 2 on the Kroll. With that Samurai Kroll skin looking so damn good.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're going to see, hopefully if the highlight extends far enough, well, it's not going to, unfortunately, but it was going to be that Reza just jumping in and deleting Kestrel off the map as they went in for that turret. Was really the key factor in them continuing that push and closing out the game as opposed to just backing away. But Equinox maybe turning things around here, picking up a big victory. And again, with some debuting players, that's got to do wonders for their confidence. Of course, today is Cinco de Mayo. We had a Flash X. Welcome everyone with a happy Cinco de Mayo. And as a result of that, we're going to go ahead and see how he got his start with Cinco de Mayo.
Oh my god. I now see why they wanted to talk to you and not to me. That makes sense.
Oh, fantastic stuff from our production crew. As always, a wonderful surprise for Flash.
Gotta love when you've no idea that those things are coming and then they just start right in front of you. We love it though, we love it.
So obviously having a little bit of fun with that one, but we are going to get back to business as we get ready for our third game of the day. And once again, it's going to be Wolves versus Clash, David versus Goliath here in Europe. I mean, you look at the stats, every single stat, Clash has an advantage.
Absolutely. Faster games, more kills, more gold per minute, more turrets. Clash, they need a rebound from their loss against Queso. They need to get it back on track, making sure they're moving forward to making strides here in the preseason. They're still an incredibly strong team. But with all the teams making these roster changes, how do you think that's going to impact Wolves?
I mean, it's going to impact them in a pretty big way. Everyone's going to be impacted as they make these changes, shuffle things up. I know today, one of Wolves' subs, at least from what I've heard, that we've been waiting and expecting to be playing is going to be in Redix. Will be making his first appearance in the VPL preseason. I'm definitely excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. Of course, we're going to have the draft that was already done. Picks and bans right here on your screen. Wolves Esports on the top, Clash on the bottom. I'm excited to see that Scarf and Reza. That is a lot of burst damage.
We saw Tetno JJ put in so much work with Scarf earlier on in the matchup. That has got to bode really well for Wolves. Scarf making a little bit of a comeback to getting to the top of this meta. That's going to do them wonders.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to be playing that Scarf because Redix was known as a Scarf player. He made fantastic plays on Scarf back in 3v3, but they also have the Reza and the Kashka that is so much burst damage. But if anything's going to be able to deal with burst damage, it's going to be a Kroll, Churnwalker, and the Rhyme because they can eat that initial burst. Yes, it's going to hurt them. It's going to do a lot of work. But if they don't die immediately, they have the sustain and the durability to get themselves back up into fighting shape. So that's going to be very important for the side of Wolves is who they target. If they can take out Vox or Celeste immediately in these fights, then it's a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely. The positioning is going to be so key for the side of Wolves if they want to even stand a chance. If Scarf gets caught out of position, it's going to be so hard for Wolves to do anything in these team fights. But if they're able to stay back, poke from a distance, allow Reza to dive into these backlines, that's going to put in a ton of work for them.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of work that's going to have to come through is massive, but, I mean, it's an uphill battle. We're not going to sugarcoat this at all. It is an uphill battle for Wolves. Clash has looked very dominant. The only game they've dropped thus far has been to Queso. So we are going to be focusing a little bit on what has made them so strong, and one of those things is our player to watch for this matchup, I'm the Doom.
definitely has looked so strong with Clash. Dropping the hammer against Equinox, going absolutely ham, grabbing a ton of kills, a ton of gold, going in and putting in a ton of work. Here's his player card from Germany. Great KDA, great CS, bunch of kills per minute.
Yeah, it really just has been so impressive with the Kestrel, especially, you know, one of his bread and butter heroes that he's been picking all through last year into this year, has been making it work once again in this preseason, and again is one of the key reasons why Clash has been performing so well.
Absolutely. He needs to make sure he's on point, make sure that his confidence has not been shaken. Don't play down to the level of your enemy team. Play how you want to execute as a team, and this should be their game to lose.
Yeah, that's what we would expect, but you know, we've had some unexpected things happen today. You know, I don't think most people would have expected Equinox to take down Salt Potatoes. I don't think most people would have expected Rising Lotus to put up such a good game against Queso earlier on. So there's definitely, the precedent has been set for Wolves to maybe make a statement for themselves and try and get some momentum building heading into the regular season.
Absolutely. It's a huge opportunity, too. They can prove that they are still trying their hardest, that they can compete with the best of Europe. And if they can grab a big win like that before the regular season starts, that's going to be so important for their confidence going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And now on the other side of the Rise, one of the players that, you know, really kind of has to step up a bit from what we've seen, he's gotten a little bit more consistent as the weeks have gone on, but Kigaza, he had a great game last week playing this Vox. This has been by far his best hero. It's really the only hero that I have felt confident in saying that he's looked strong with. So hopefully, you know, this time around it's going to be a little bit different. You know, obviously not going to have the Vox this game, as it's going to be over on the side of Clash. So will he be able to perform with another hero? Because he's played Tony, hasn't looked very strong with it. He's played in a couple other heroes, has not looked very comfortable with them either. So I need to see if he can bring something more than just the Vox to the table this game.
With 16 heroes being utilized in 5v5 now, it is so important for all of these players to have very deep hero pools to make sure that they can confidently flex between, I would say, at least 3. Obviously, the more you can feel comfortable on, the better. But if you're only relying on one hero, that makes it very easy for an opposing team to draft against you.
Yeah, and obviously then you look at this composition that they've put together and you wonder, which hero is he going to be playing? You expect the Koshka to be in the jungle, expecting the Scarf to be mid. Then but that puts the Reza and the Grace, you know, which of them is going to be top, which one's going to be bottom. You have the Adagio as well. We're going to find out where they do decide to put all these heroes as we get onto the Rise with Dowsy and Stress.
It is time to welcome Redix back into the competitive field over a year and a half since we last saw him play for G2. We'll have to see what kind of an impact he can make for Wolves here. They got their first win on the board last week against Equinox Stress, but Clash is definitely a team that if you are able to take them out, that is insane.
That would be a massive statement to get a win against Clash right now, but I guess we've seen stranger things happen. We saw a big fight happen in the first game of the day. So I've heard so much about Redix. Everybody has talked about him every week. Everyone's like, when's Redix playing? When's Redix playing? So what should newer viewers to Vainglory expect from Redix, Dowsy? Because you casted him a lot over the last year or so. Like, what exactly is he known for?
I mean, Redix back in 2016 was definitely the star laner for G2, was really holding them together, helping them maintain one of the top teams in Europe. Back then, G2 certainly were challengers, but weren't ever quite able to find that first place, always finishing around 3rd or 4th. And so for Redix, this is a big moment for him, because, you know, halfway through that year, he transitioned to support to replace Dingo. That's when Hundor came onto the scene, and we've seen how much of an impact Hundor has made so far in the UEU competitive scene. So for Redix, this is almost redemption. Can he come back to the lane? Can he be the force that he once was? Or is this time for the newcomers like Hundor to really hold that showcase?
Well, it's only a small test, right? Team that sat towards the top of the table, but certainly that would be a massive upset. A couple of different things in the composition that kind of I want to look at. We don't see a whole lot of Rhyme here in Europe. It's a hero that can be annoying to play against at lower levels. I certainly, while starting to play the game, was like, okay, Rhyme is really frustrating because he sticks on you like crazy. You've got Rhyme, you've got Krull. Those are two duelists that are going to do very well if they can find somebody isolated, but you don't find those opportunities too often in 5 versus 5 at the highest level. So that's something I'm a little surprised to see out of Clash.
Yeah, no, potentially just testing things out here. We'll have to see how Kara is able to play it, especially considering that Agony has taken that Krull up to the top side. Also good to see Agony taking some games now. He's been out of the show light for quite some time. Already this mid matchup though, Redix struggling a little bit against I'm the Doom Celeste. We'll have to see how that plays out. Agony, Leon able to take away a camp here, and now it's going to be Agony trying to help push this fight in, but lots of damage onto him as all of Wolves collapse. Can they find a kill? The first blood, it is going to go over to them, you think. Yes, Koshka able to find an Asteroid on the board. In the bottom side, Keygaza, though, potentially caught out against Coral and NetToilette. We'll have to see how he plays this one. The chains haven't been connected. It means it can't pull him back. He will survive. First blood to Wolves.
First blood to Wolves off that massive chase. There's so much healing came through. I got to take another look back up though at what Paprika's doing, because he looked like he was fighting Leon for a moment. Didn't actually want that fight. Importantly, bot side, I'm the Doom is now waiting in the jungle. He's gonna find 3 people here. He was looking for Asteroid.
Oh my god! That was a massive core collapse, and here comes the rest of the squad. Redix chunking, auto attacks flying. He will go down to I'm the Doom, finding a kill of his own, and this Gold Oak will go over to him as well. Incredible stuff, really. I'm the Doom Celeste, and it's so good to see him back on the Sovereign's Rise once again.
Yeah, good to see him back. We'll see whether he can kind of take control. Unfortunately, Redix doesn't pick up a kill for his first action. Got an assist earlier, but now ends up paying with his life. Now we're going to see this push along mid. Scarf will be able to kind of tidy up the minion wave from it, but interesting way this match is split on the bottom side. Like Adagio is kind of in the enemy jungle right now, potentially in a 3 versus 2, and then you got 2 in the mid lane. Like, I'm the Doom is quite low, so they might not want to take this full fight, but Rhyme's here.
I think they want to take it. Yeah, it looks like they want to take it very much so. And that's going to be 1 kill going over. Keygaza falls. Kryza trying to escape. Astral dives in. And oh, they've turned it around slightly. I say slightly because this is a double kill for Carl. And he wants more. Asteroid wanting NetToilette. Being chained up like a cat on a leash. Asteroid will find that kill. Going to be trading things evenly so far. Carl roots up Asteroid, but I think Asteroid's happy for the double. He is. I don't know, Stress. I've seen some weird people out in Manchester walking cats before. Apparently NetToilette's one of them.
I can tell you for a fact my cat would not want to be walked. Like, that is never happening. But nevertheless, kind of Clash walking their way back into a gold lead on this one. As Agony, he has hit that level 6 mark. So again, that ultimate that we talked about in our previous game available. Here it comes, potentially at Redix.
Oh, Redix is in so much trouble. He's just going to go straight down to
Didn't
Leon.
even use it.
Doesn't even use it. He just gets popped very, very quickly. And let's talk about how Clash have organized their roster. Now that Agony's back in force, taking over that jungle position from Karo, and Kyle moving up to the lane. I say let's talk about it. There's Agony finding the kill in the jungle, and now Karo's moving in to try and find Keygaza as well. This Adagio, not long for the world, will get popped a double for Agony's Cruel. And Clash looking clean.
Okay, as we have another gang coming mid. This is why we see Krull banned in solo queue all the time. This is like pub stomp mode. Krull, oh, I'm the Doom, caught out.
He might be popped. Yeah, that's going to be Paprika finding the kill. Agony wants to keep this one going. This Krull has to continue fighting. It's his only way of survival. But I don't think he is going to survive as Asteroid comes in. Asteroid looking for the kill, but it was 1 going over to Agony. And now Redix, he's only just got back. He might be losing his life straight away. Leon dives forward. Leon, though, will get turned on. Keygaza pulling down the damage. Keygaza looking for the kill, and the auto attack goes through. That's 1. Redix still in trouble as Carl tries to jump on. Asteroid as well will be forced backwards, but that's a double for Keygaza there on that Adagio. Has been bullied in this bot side so far, but 2 kills definitely helps.
This is a very loose game from both teams early on. Just fight, fight, fight constantly between the two of them. I'm the Doom now coming over. Carl may be in trouble.
Keygaza wants to fight, but against a Rhyme, you don't focus the Rhyme. He has so much health, and look at this. I'm the Doom. 1, 2. In fact, they go over to Carl. A double for the side of Clash once more. You just can't really kill a crew. If he gets those fortified health stacked up, then he is just going to continue being such a threat.
Yeah, that Rhyme is just so frustrating to deal with. As soon as you're not in a 5 versus 5 where he can like kind of pick you up, separate you, and just stick on top, that's really where he becomes annoying. And I think that may very well be what Clash were drafting for, is just annoying heroes. Clearly not, but certainly it's the kind of heroes that I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna ban that when I get into game. But now I'm the Doom in trouble again as Paprika goes in.
Yeah, he is able to escape with a well-placed core collapse. Paprika not going to be able to find a kill there. First turret will fall as Leon and Agony make work with the top side. Net though caught out, and Aceroid looking for the kill. Chrysler able to secure it. Curl now going to be dived upon. Hasn't quite got the fortified health to keep himself alive. Now will be Aceroid finding another for himself. I'm the Doom in a bit of a skirmish with Redix. Redix currently on top of that. And that is going to allow a Ghost Wing take for the side of Wolves. But let us not forget, Leon and Agony are continuing to push. And they might just go for more. They've got that ultimate on Agony's Cruel, which makes it hard for Paprika to push them back. A turn could happen at any second. That's going to be Paprika diving on in. Here comes the turn. That's going to be that form detonate. Can he escape it? Yes, he can. No, he can't. Gets stunned up. Talk too soon. And now the waves crashing onto the turret. I think this is going to be Leon and Agony taking it.
Yeah, this Krull has just got so much damage early on. There's no defense in here. This is all offense. Just go full attack speed, full damage, everything from it. And now they're just trying to take control of that through the top side, the top lane. Now, Keygaza and Asteroid get the tower.
Oh, wow.
Turret on the bottom side.
But Keygaza loses his life, and now it's only Asteroid left alive. Leon and Agony have just taken 3 turrets and a armory for themselves, and all they've given up is Agony's life in return. That is a disastrous move coming out of Wolves to let that happen. Just gifting Clash macro control over this game.
And here comes Netolet on the bottom side with Carl. They have a wave there. When the next minion wave crashes in, they can look and take another tower here. It's just objective control for the towers again and again and again from Clash. That's what we've seen them be very good at, but typically it's not quite this open and crazy. I think if I was finding one criticism for Clash in this week and last week, it's that they do let games get a little loose at times. I think they're very confident in getting ahead, and then games kind of go crazy, and I'm the Doom gets caught out in mid.
That's going to be one of the first Dragon Breaths I think we've actually seen here in Europe, as Redix charges it up, and now he's in trouble. Leon and Agony are going to dive on top of him, and he will fall down. Chrysler sets up the fight. Leon taking a lot of damage. Can Chrysler finish it up is the question. Paprika trying to get in range with the Reza, but a great stun comes out from the Churnwalker. Not enough to keep Leon alive, but maybe enough for Clash to turn this. Agony the focus of Keygaza as Paprika's trying to run the Churnwalker. Agony will go down, and Chrysler still alive. Here comes Aceroid, net to let popped, and it just leaves this Cruel to dance around with. Keygaza may just go down. A double for Carl's Cruel. 7, 2, and 3 is disastrous, and now he's going to just clear up the jungle with Doom.
Yeah, Carl just running around on this Rhyme, going to try and take out anybody that he can at that point. Just kind of no real way out for the rest of them at the end of the fight. I just had a bit of a lag spike there, so I think I'm back in the game.
Welcome back.
Okay, we are back. Yeah, Clash still in full control through that top side with the armory down already. I don't know whether they need to be taking quite as many fights though. Like, yes, they have a very snowball heavy composition, but Vox just jumps in the mid lane. Leon trying to maybe be a little showboaty.
I mean, that's Leon's brand, really.
Yeah.
It is showboaty, and it isn't clean gameplay. Your criticism of messy Clash over the last couple of weeks, I think that's very fair. Here comes the fight as Clash try and clean up Leon's failed attempt. First kill will go over to Net. Second goes to Agony. 2 for them so far. But if we look at stats stress, we've got an 11.5 minute game, 16 kills apiece. Last time these teams played, when Clash was looking ever so strong, it was an 11-minute victory for Clash, and only 3 kills Wolves were able to get. I don't think they took a single turret either. So when you compare the 2 games, right now, this is Clash really not playing to their personal best.
Yeah, I think we look at a few things. The other teams obviously have improved. I think every team in the preseason has improved, but certainly Wolves still not quite at the level, at least I believe, that the Clash are. I feel like this game is Clash certainly saying, hey, we're still very good, we're still able to get these leads. Let's just kind of play and maybe see what advantages we can take. That's one thing that teams will do at the highest level, is when they have a matchup they're expected to win, say, hey, let's look at how aggressive we can be. Let's look at where we can take these fights when we have this gold lead, because it's not the same as scrims. You can scrim all you want, but players normally play very defensively when it comes to a real game.
Well, this is going to be the fight breaking out, and Leon very low, so is Carl. Paprika doing some damage, backing off, the Dragon's Breath burning on through, but Agony's very happy to just take the continued fight. First kill goes to Doom, it's a second for him as well, and Doom's charging forward, he wants more. Not going to find it just yet. Agony, though, throws the sword out. And that Cruel will find another victim. This turret falls, and Cruel has done some work. It is an armory down in the top side, an armory exposed in the bot side, and Clash looking to move forward and continue their dominance.
Yeah, Clash have just looked so incredibly strong. A little messy, but nevertheless, when you are at the top of the table, when you have that kind of advantage, you can take the liberties to take these aggressive trades and just see where it ends up.
Wolves, they've held off quite impressively against Clash so far. And the game's not over yet. We're talking about it like it is finished, but it has not yet. Clash continuously making mistakes. Leon in her 2 versus 5. It is going to be charged upon. Paprika diving forward. The Dragon's Breath burning, but Doom finds the first kill. Netolet keeps himself alive. It's a second kill going over to Leon. A double for Leon. A triple for Leon. And only Redix is left standing, and Leon wants the quadra. Can't quite get in range. It is going to be the ultimate missing from Agony, but there's a Black Claw to take. I'm the Doom, and Leon so low, but that Black Claw gives health regeneration to heal everyone up, so it seems wise that they get their tanks to tank it up, and they take it out, then continue their push.
Yeah, not only that, of course, the top side was pushing still. They're going to be able to push through the mid lane as well. Like, so much is going in the favor of Clash. 10,000 gold lead, and really now the composition you look at from Wolves doesn't have a whole lot of bite left in it. Yes, they have the damage coming from Redix when he is able to get that ultimate off the Dragon's Breath, but like, look how fast these towers are dying. All they've got to do is walk this further in, and it's a very tough fight to set up. If Clash just play this a little safer than they've been playing all game, this should just be a victory.
I mean, it's no longer 2016. Scarf's Dragon's Breath really has not had as much impact on 5v5 like it did in the 3v3 days. Maybe that's where Redix is going wrong. The fight has started, and it is going to be Agony finding the first kill on that Cruel. Paprika stunned up, and it's another going over to Clash. Black Claw pushing in. This Vein Crystal under siege, and Doom does get caught out by Aceroid's Koshka, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough for Wolves as they lose another. Keygazer goes down. 3-4 men in the base, and Aceroid has to kill them all. Carl will be the first one he attempts, gets rooted up, finds the kill. Leon and Netolet working on the armory instead of the Vein Crystal, but with the ace coming through and only Chrysor, the one alive, this will be another win coming out of Clash at the 15-20 mark.
Yeah, another solid win out of Clash, just kind of styling for a little bit, as you know Leon likes to do, but certainly mostly comfortable for Clash from the minute the game started.
Has been a slight decline, we will say, in Clash's dominance so far in Europe. But we'll have to see how they make out in the rest of the weeks to go. Let's break it down with FlashX and Tasty and see what they have to say.
Again, a strong showing from Wolves, and I think that's really all they needed out of this game, was to have a strong showing, not get rolled over. And even though it was a 15-minute game, they were at least able to make strides. They took some fights against Clash, made themselves look a bit stronger than what we've seen out of them thus far this preseason.
Made it to the 15-minute mark. Taking a look at some of the highlights, this is going to be Clash's final push into the base with that Black Claw. Ultimately, the key to wrapping up this game, they execute it very, very well. I'm the Doom in the back with our player to watch, just putting down all those Heliogenesis. So much AoE damage, making sure he's not getting engaged upon too quickly. Huge core collapse, great Solar Storm, definitely a key to victory here for Clash.
And the other interesting thing about Clash's game today is that we had Leon on the box with Netolet playing the captain role. They've been shaking things up a lot. We'll see what the Twitch chat thought of this one as we headed into it. A lot of people were hyped on Wolves, and Wolves about to get the biggest win you'll ever seen. Wolves going to win, calling it here and now. Fortunately, not the case, but again, Wolves definitely looking better, gaining some fans out there, probably gained a few more as a result of this one.
Putting up 19 kills is respectable. Forcing Clash
still
to
over a kill a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Losing effort. That's pretty impressive.
Forcing Clash to take that block call, definitely respectable. It wasn't just a steamroll that you might have seen from them out of the earlier stages of the season. So it's glad to see that they're still developing, still making tweaks to the rosters. This was Redix's first time on the Sovereign's Rise in competitive play. Going to take a look at the results here for Europe. Queso taking a big win over Rising Lotus. Equinox, a huge win over Salty Potatoes, and then Clash in that last game taking out Wolves Esports.
Yeah, and we see the effect that it has on our standings in just a moment. But, I mean, obviously, first spot is still going to be up for grabs, but with that win, Equinox moving up a little bit in the standings, and, of course, the Rising Lotus going to be still holding on to that number 3 spot thanks to the defeat from Salty Potatoes. So excellent job there across the board from these teams. I think every single team looked a lot stronger this week, with maybe the only exception that would be Salty Potatoes. I think they didn't look as strong as we had expected, but every other team looking better than we had expected coming into this week.
Absolutely. So many both roster and positional changes that Europe still feeling out. Definitely this was a new week for them. Hopefully they can isolate that and think about it as such. Don't look at how you've done for the entire season. Try and build some synergy with some of these new things that these teams are working on, and hopefully it'll lead to better results down the road.
Yeah, and you mentioned those roster changes. We had Sneaky now on Rising Lotus. You have Viking now over on Salty Potatoes. You have the Baby Groots now playing for Equinox. Redix getting his first start for Wolves. A lot of roster changes, and you mentioned the positions as well. Really kind of things coming to fruition here in the preseason. We'll take a look at our schedule for North America coming up later on today. It will be Nova Esports going head-to-head against Tribe Gaming, Hammers Esports, and Tilt Rehab, and rounding out the day with Rogue versus TSM.
Definitely some great games. Nova looking super strong last week. They have a monumental task going ahead with Tribe. Do you think they can do it?
I think it's definitely an uphill battle, but from what we've seen here today, if Rogue performs to their best of their ability, sorry, not Rogue, if Nova performs to the best of their abilities, Rogue 2 going up against TSM, that's another one. Basically the same story on both sides, but if they perform at the top of their game, there is that chance that they could take down these giants and shake things up in North America. But again, that's coming up a little bit later. First, we have our giveaway of the first Samurai Kroll skin. It is going to the Real Furcon. Congratulations. Make sure you enter to try and win yourself a Samurai Kroll skin for free. If you want details on how to enter, tune in to our North American broadcast. It will be starting at 12 noon Pacific time. We'll see you then.